welcome back to my studio. It's been a while since I've done a video, mainly just because they take quite a bit of time to do, and I just haven't been, I've been super busy, so I haven't really been able to, or I haven't wanted to take the time to do it. It's not that I'm not able, but I just have been trying to get a lot of other stuff done. But today I'm going to show you how I paint an olive tree. And I've not painted an olive tree before, so I have done part of it just to kind of get a feel for what I'm doing here. But I'm using reference that I took in Israel of olive trees that I took there. And I'm using a lot of different mixtures. I've shown you those mixtures, and they're basically, most of them are combinations of my phthalo blue plus cadmium orange plus white. And I use this mixture a lot to mix greens. If you add more orange in it, it's warmer. If you add more blue in it, it becomes a cooler green, as here. But this is just, I'm using a big, this is called a bright brush. It's got a square end, and I can use the corner of it then to make my individual little leaves. Now when I have a large area here, I want to just give myself a dark base, and so I just kind of scrub the paint into the canvas. And this gives us some depth into the foliage. I've added more phthalo blue into this, so it gives a cooler green. The cooler temperature drops down into the shadows and just makes it go back. You can use the side of the brush, the flat part of the brush, then to cover bigger areas. My salvia here is going to come over the olive tree. The poppies also and the magenta flowers will also are coming in front of that. So I just want to bring some dark in behind them. I want this to be painted very thinly because I'll be painting the flowers over it. And by the time I'm painting them, that'll be fairly dry. But I get my darks in, and then I come back in and start adding some of the lighter colored foliage. Now this mixture, that is just basically phthalo blue plus just a touch of the cadmium orange, but that gives me a little bluer mixture. If you look at leaves, they're not all the same green. They're not a solid color. They've got a lot of color within them. And so I just use the edge of my brush and just smoosh it up here, as Jack would say. I'm adding also some warmth into this. And I just let the brush make the texture of the leaves. I'll dip several different colors on the brush at a time, and it just gives me a nice little color mixtures like you have here, color surprises. And that adds interest to your foliage. Light in here where the sunlight's hitting these. So we come back down behind here. I want this to be a little darker because my salvia is going to be lighter. So I want this to dip into the shadows. Again, I don't want this to be painted real thickly. I come back in and add some darks in here. And I'll bring some warmth. Most of this tree is the trees kind of behind the bluff and growing down the hill a little bit, so we're just seeing the foliage. Let's add a few little pops of bluer green in here. More of the highlights here where the sun's hitting this tree. Here I'm going to add a little bit more. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the little stems and twigs and just, you can say I already have some in there. This is just what they call a fine liner brush, and you can see it makes fine lines. These little twigs extend out from the leaves, and that's where your olives will be. Let's add a few olives in here. Let me show you how I add those. And the olives grow toward the ends of the twigs. And I'm making these with a mixture of my mud, which is 2 parts of ultramarine blue, plus 1 part of alizarin crimson. And I add some liquid in there, liquid original. That makes it a little thinner. But we're just wanting to add some olives in here. So these are olive trees. We'll add a few in here. It's fun painting different areas of the world and learn new foliage and new things to paint. And then I'll add some twigs then for these to be growing on. And this is how I paint an olive tree. I have a blog where I show the step-by-step process as I paint. Please visit that. I have the link in the description below. If you'll sign up for my blog, you'll receive an email every time I make a post, and that way you can always follow along. And I appreciate you watching. And if you ever have questions, please feel free to email me and ask. You can make comments. You can ask questions in the comments section. But I'm always happy to help artists, and I love it. So thank you again for following along today. And you just have a wonderful day and happy painting.